Communications matrix. The communication matrix is used to summarize and facilitate the communication plan by defining the details regarding the communications activities that are used during the team or department's activities during the course of the project. Kung ang communication plan ay nagpa-provide ng framework for communicating, itong communication matrix naman ay ginagamit para ma-summarize and ma-facilitate ang communication plan through defining the details regarding sa communication activities na ginamit during the team or the course of the project. So, yung communication matrix, meron siyang key components. Ayun yung communication type, description, delivery method, frequency, documents, participants, and those responsible for making sure each communication event takes place according to the plan. Yung communication type, doon ina-identify kung anong type ng communication yon. Kung meeting ba, kung project team meeting, project status report, or team moral. Sa description, ina-identify doon yung description and purpose ng communication type. Sa delivery method, kung sa paanong way ba i-deliver ito, kung face-to-face ba, or through email, or through conference call. Sa frequency naman, ito kung ilang beses siya mag-occur, kung once lang ba, weekly, monthly, or quarterly. Sa participant naman, kung sino ang mga participants and those responsible sa communication event. Table 6.9, communication matrix. Bale, ito yung sample ng communication matrix for a project. So, sa isang team or organization, meron silang common challenge na na-encounter. And ayun yung they have been left off important communication. So, through communication plan and communication matrix, ma-avoid ng isang team yung ganong issue. Suppliers, inputs, process, outputs, and customers map. Auditors are expected to gain familiarity with the program or process they are going to review. Bali dito, expected na nila na si auditor ay familiar na sa program and process they're going to review. So, dito mayroong two areas of weaknesses na minsan nagpapakomplicate sa completion ng pagre-review. Una, yung limited knowledge of the parties involved, and second is the inadequate understanding of the process itself. As internal auditors apply risk-based auditing techniques to their reviews and increase their focus on the needs of customers to achieve organizational aim, necessary lang na makapag-build up ng mastery sa internal auditor sa program or process na i-apply niya. So, SIPOC diagram or supplier, inputs, process, outputs, and customers. Itong SIPOC diagram, makakatulong siya to gain a panoramic understanding of the program or process. Kasi dito sa SIPOC diagram, sinasummarize niya na yung mga participants, ng inputs and outputs ng isang process. Ang SIPOC diagram is a tool used by a team to identify all relevant elements of a process before work begins. So, isa siyang tool na ginagamit para ma-identify yung mga element of a process na kailangan pang ma-improve. Bale, itong SIPOC diagram, na-define niya rin yung mga complex project na hindi well-scoped. And typically, na-employ siya sa measure-based na DMAIC methodology or define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. The SIPOC map is particularly useful when defining the scope of the review because it can give auditors a high-level overview of the program or process. Kasi sa SIPOC map, nandun na lahat yung mga elements and nakasummarize na yung mga program or process doon. Kaya madaling ma-overview yun ni auditor. Lastly, the interaction among the parties involved can help to define risk, exposures, the size of the operation, and related audit coverage needed, and customer requirements. It helps to answer the following questions among others. So, ito yung mga question na masasagot through CPOC diagram. Next, Poka-Yoke mistake proofing. Poka-Yoke is the term used to describe a mechanism in a process that helps operators avoid mistakes. Poka-Yoke is a Japanese term that means mistake proofing. So, ang purpose ng Poka-Yoke is ma-eliminate niya yung defects ng product by drawing attention to human errors that can occur. So, ini-state na rito, obviously, yung error para hindi na mag-occur and processes work right the first time, which makes mistakes impossible to happen. And the purpose of Poka-Yoke is to eliminate defects in products by preventing or drawing attention to human errors that can occur. So, ito yung example from daily life above. Mga example ng Poka-Yoke na in-apply, mga example ng Poka-Yoke technique. Power plugs, often they can only be plugged in one way because they don't fit into the power outlet upside down. Ethernet and USB cable plugs can only be plugged in one way and they have a minute latch to keep the cable from being pulled out of the device accidentally, and so on and so forth. So, Poka-Yoke can be a phenomenal tool for internal auditors who are often called upon to examine the design of programs and processes and make recommendations for improvement. The best Poka-Yoke solution are as simple as possible. Gumamit ng lowest cost solution, make the solution mandatory and intuitive para ma-avoid agad yung mga errors, and last, avoid requiring the operator to make a decision to apply the solution or not. If we apply Poka-Yoke in a service environment, it becomes evident that the principles are equally applicable. Note, ito yung mga following examples ng service environment. Table 6.11, it shows the objective and principles of Poka-Yoke technique, meaning applicable yung Poka-Yoke technique both industrial and service environment. Benchmarking is the process of comparing statistical information. It consists of comparing at least one performance metric to a standard or multiple performance metrics to each other. It is a great tool to determine if the item under examination is performing at an acceptable level. Benchmarking kung saan minimeasure yung performance ng isang company's products, services, or processes, which is yung pwedeng maging result ay performing below at the standard or above it. Sa benchmarking, ina-identify niya rin yung internal opportunities for improvement ng company or ng organization. Two common issues associated with benchmarking are: 1. The information is often proprietary and organizations are reluctant to share it with other organizations, especially competitors. So, ayun nga, kadalasan yung mga information is about lang sa owner and hesitant pa sila na i-share yun. Pangalawa, the information is sometimes not comparable because the organizations are of different sizes, maturity, or operate in different markets. A third approach is to perform trend analysis where the unit being examined is compared to itself over time. This third approach raises the issue of how long should be the time period of an operational audit. If metric is viewed during 1-year cycle, the number may provide one perspective or even appear satisfactory. But if we examine multiple years, we may arrive at a different result. For example, a call center has been receiving a similar volume of daily phone calls over a 5-year period, and its average response time is shown in table 6.12. So, let's assume na may goal ang isang organization. At yung goal na yun ay yung response time nila should be under 1 minute and 30 seconds. Kapag sa year 5 lang, tayo tumingin, makukonclude natin na na-achieve ng organization yung goal na sinet and no further action is needed. Pero if we inspect all 5 years, mapapansin natin na yung response times ay mas tumaas and naging worse. Kung saan yung average nung year 1 ay 33 seconds lang and now nag-increase na to 1 minute and 12 seconds. 5 whys. The 5 whys is a very powerful tool useful to identify the root cause of issues. Many auditors are accustomed to treating situation using a binary approach. When performing financial audits in the US, transactions are either compliant with US GAAP or they are not. If they are performing with compliant with GAAP, ibig sabihin walang findings. Kapag naman hindi sila nag-comply according sa GAAP, they must be corrected and recorded according to the US GAAP, and the situation is binary. However, when performing operational reviews, the situation is often far more complex. A problem could be caused by a variety of reasons, so auditors must search for the root cause. So, yung root cause analysis is defined as the identification of why an issue occurred versus only identifying or reporting on the issue itself. So, in this context, an issue is defined as a problem, error, instance of non-compliance, or missed opportunity. Si internal auditor, kailangan niya magbigay ng insight sa client niya. Meaning, kailangan niya mag-conduct ng root cause analysis para ma-determine yung error and para accurate yung may bibigay niya na insight. Itong 5 whys, yung pinakasimpleng tool na ginagamit para sa root cause analysis. It is easy to use and does not require statistical analysis. The approach consists of asking why multiple items, each of which probes further as to the source of the problem. So, kinoconsist lang siya ng asking why multiple times, and through that, madidetermine natin yung pinaka-source ng problem. The 5 whys is an iterative technique used to explore the cause and effect relationships underlying a problem. Ayun nga, multiple times mo lang siya itatanong and madedetermine na yung source of the problem. The 5 in the name is the typical number of repetition typically needed to resolve the problem. But identifying the root cause may take fewer or more times than 5 whys. Bala yung 5 in the name, typical number lang kung ilang beses mo itatanong yung why. And sa root cause analysis, kapag in-identify yung root cause, pwedeng less than 5 or more than 5 lang yung whys na magamit. Since not all problems have a single root cause, it may be necessary to repeat the process multiple times for each problem or issue. Itong technique na to, wala siyang specific rules kung anong type ng question yung itatanong, which subjects to explore, or how long to repeat the process to search for additional root causes. To illustrate the process, consider the example of the water on the floor. Yung problem statement, the floor is wet. Why number 1? Water leak from the ceiling. So yung initial answer or solution, mop up the floor and dry the water. However, if water continues to fall on the floor, mopping the water is an inadequate solution to the problem. So dito, we should ask why again. Why number 2? Why is there water on the floor? Answer: because the pipe overhead is leaking. We can stop there and repair the pipe, but we should probably ask why again. Why number 3? Why is the pipe leaking? Answer: because it has poor fittings. Why number 4? Why did the pipe have poor fittings? Answer: because the plumbing work was done by an unqualified plumber. We should ask why again. Why did we use an unqualified plumber? Because of poor procurement practices, the plumbing work was granted to this plumber through favoritism rather than skill and the proven history of good workmanship. So now we know what caused the water on the floor. With this knowledge, we can now move forward to address the vendor contracting process to eliminate favoritism and not allow this plumber to do any additional work for the organization. So let's examine another example. Suppose the auditor notes that the processing unit is making mistakes when shipping goods to customers. Why 1? Why are there so many mistakes? Because instructions are given verbally. Why 2? Why are instructions given verbally? Because it takes longer to write orders and they want to make shipments as quickly as possible, so they call the orders in. Why 3? Does it take so long to write orders? There is no tool to record the information. At this point, with 3 whys, we can see that the absence of a consistent method of capturing orders and communicating them to the shipping department is causing the problem. The 5 whys can be used individually or in conjunction with the fishbone diagram or other related tools. Yung fishbone diagram, also called cause and effect diagram. Work breakdown structure. Work breakdown structure is a deliverable-oriented groupings of project elements that organizes and defines the work scope of the project. Ibig sabihin nito, hinahati niya yung mga trabaho dito into smaller tasks para mas maging manageable and approachable. In this way, the larger jobs that must be done, followed by the smaller tasks needed to the larger jobs, and so on, and so in more and more detail until arriving at the most detailed tasks needed.